Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I have another ship with me video for you. This week I sold over $1,500 worth of items. I'm super excited about what I sold. So if you're looking for some new things to keep your eyes out for when you're out thrifting that make big profits, then keep watching. It is Monday, September 22nd, and these are sales from over the weekend. It was a pretty good weekend. I only have 4 sales, but I have a couple higher dollar sales, so it really rounded out nicely. The first sale was on Poshmark, and it was a bundle of 2 brooches. The bundle sold for $55. The first brooch is just this kind of feather looking piece. It is unsigned, no maker's marks or anything. This has been listed forever and a day. I don't even know how long. So I'm really excited to move it out. The other brooch that she bought wasn't listed very long, maybe less than a month, and I can see why. This is a really beautiful piece. It seemed like it was a little bit more collectible than normal. This is it's just an Avon piece actually. So typically you don't get big money for Avon pieces, but this was by a certain designer. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. My Poshmark closet is linked in the description box below if you want to go look at any of the details of this. But I found out the designer of it by simply using Google Lens to look it up. And it had higher comps than normal Avon pieces because of this designer. So like I said, the bundle sold for $55. I only paid about $1 for the feather brooch, and then this turquoise and gold brooch I got at that estate sale where they had a whole room of jewelry and they were selling just bags of jewelry for $10 a bag, and there was at least 10 pieces of jewelry in each bag. So I paid less than $1 for the gold and turquoise, so a total of $2, which made my profit $42. I'm happy with that. For the remainder of the video, when I talk about my profit, you can assume that I am deducting any website fees, my cost of goods, and any shipping discounts. Okay, so the next sale again was on Poshmark, and it is a pair of new with tags Levi's. These are a super rigid denim, really stiff. They were 501 shrink to fit. And these sold for $44. I picked these up at a church sale. There was 2 pairs of brand new, same size, and they only had them priced at $2 per pair. So I figured it would be easy. You know, I could just copy and paste for 2 separate listings and get them up pretty quickly. So that made my profit $31.70. I think these had discounted shipping on them. So these did take a fair bit to sell. Let's see, maybe 6 months or so. So maybe not that long actually. I have found that typically Levi's in general take a while to sell for me. I think maybe I just have them priced too high for how, you know, common they are, and they really, most of them really aren't super expensive retail to begin with. So like I said, it's September 22nd and I still have not gotten my Ground Advantage supplies from the post office. I think I ordered them, let's see, maybe I just ordered them on Saturday. I can't remember. Okay, like I said, I had 2 sales on Cherish as well, so I'll grab those real quick. So the first sale was this really cool vintage green decanter, another decanter, you guys. So you know how long I have said that I'm stopping picking up decanters because they just weren't selling for me. I just had them overpriced, I think, plain and simple, because when I started reducing the prices into a more reasonable range, they started selling. Now, this one is kind of different than the basic clear crystal decanters. This sold for $150 plus an $11 packaging fee, which is in addition to the shipping fee, and the buyer pays both. Again, this sold on Cherish.com. I do believe that this is by Empoli. So this was a more unique special decanter, which made it more valuable. But I did have it priced at close to $300 to begin with. So that's probably why it took so long to sell. I think this has been listed a good 2 years. But I only paid about $8 for it. So that made my profit $120. I am thrilled with that. And I think that was worth waiting for. It would have been great, you know, I guess if I had have sold it quickly for $120 profit, that would have been better. But live and learn. We all, you know, we all have to make mistakes and learn from them. Okay, the next sale was a set of 8 of these little rocks glasses. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but they have etching on them, and it's just a little wheat sheath. And these, like, you would put a large ice cube in there and then just serve like a shot over ice in them. I believe that these are Noritake Sasaki. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but Noritake is the brand for sure. I've had these a long time, but I just listed them, or I listed them within the last year. So, you know, not a super quick sale, but these sold for $115 plus a $15 packaging fee. And like I said, there was a set of 8. I only paid $5 for the set. So really great return on investment. So that made my profit $99.70. Super thrilled with those profits on those 2 sales. I've been continuing, I think I missed 1 day, but I've been continuing to list new items on Cherish and also edit my existing listings. I have, I think, like 450 listings on Cherish. So each day I've been going in and editing the listing. Sometimes I'll just add a period. Sometimes I'll do a price reduction. Sometimes I'll make changes to the title. But when I do that, it brings the listing into the just in category. And so I think that's bringing a lot more traffic to my shop. And I wish I would have started doing that sooner. I've been doing 10 to 20 edits per day. So it's looking like I'm having 10 to 20 new listings come into my shop. Plus I'm listing new items. So that is really making a difference, and I'm going to continue to do that and hope it continues to keep the momentum going. Now, typically this time of year, like 4th quarter-ish, is more busy for me on Cherish. It's one of my busier times of year on that site. So it could just be the start to that too, but I do think my activity is really helping out. If you enjoy this type of content and you've watched a few of my videos and you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you would click that red subscribe button. It really helps me out. It means a lot to me. Also, if you could hit that thumbs up button and leave me a money bag emoji comment. The comments really help boost my videos in the algorithm. Okay, I'll be right back. Hey again, it's Tuesday and I had another sale on Cherish. I just can't believe how many sales. Almost daily I'm having sales on Cherish. So another pretty great sale. It is just this really small little pair of Danish modern candle holders. And these are made from rosewood, which it is no longer legal to harvest Brazilian rosewood. And it's just really beautiful wood, has really pretty wood grain and tones in it. These are probably from the 1960s, and I believe that they are Danish. Now, these have been listed a really long time. I had them priced high because I love them, and you just can't get the rosewood anymore. But I did end up accepting a $150 offer, plus there was a $5 packaging fee. So a total of $155, which overall I'm happy with, especially because I only paid $5 for these at an estate sale. So keep your eyes out for Brazilian rosewood. You can do a little bit more research on it, but you can see that wood grain there is just beautiful. And so pretty much anything in rosewood is going to have a higher value. In fact, I have my dining set is Brazilian rosewood. So I have a beautiful credenza and matching table that I got at a thrift store. I one of my friends, actually, Shelly, hi Shelly, she watches the channel too. She found the credenza at this thrift store, and she fixed it up and she was going to put it in her booth, and I begged her to sell it to me, and I just absolutely love it. So thank you, Shelly. I really treasure that credenza. And then a month or so later, or maybe it was just a few weeks later, I went to that same thrift store and they had the matching table there, but it was already sold. They had not picked it up yet though, and it had their name and phone number on the table. So I talked my mom into calling them and begging them to sell that to me, which they did. We did have to pay them a premium. They made money, but it was fine. What we paid for it was still totally worth it. But if I remember, I'll put a picture of it up here somewhere. Like I said, they sold for $155. I paid $5, so that made my profit $117. Those sold on Cherish, and they took a long time to sell. Okay, the next two sales were on Poshmark, and this sale is a pair of sterling silver, like modernist earrings. I just thought these were really cool and unusual. They sold for $43. I think they had discounted shipping. They are stamped 925 sterling on the back of one, and they are actually pierced. These look like they would be clip-ons for some reason. These didn't take a super long time to sell, maybe a few months. And I picked these up at an estate sale. I only paid about $3 for them. So I am thrilled with selling them for $43. So that made my profit $29.90. I'm happy with that. Really happy that I've been having quite a few sales. You know, it's really, the sales are coming in daily. Okay, and then the next item is this vintage Kauai hat. This has been listed forever and a day. I had picked up a few vintage Hawaii hats, and they sold quickly for decent prices, like over $30. And in fact, I think this hat has sold, I think this is like the third time that it has sold. The first time the buyer asked to cancel, and I just went ahead and canceled it. And then the second time the buyer made me an offer and I had already shipped it, and then she wanted to cancel too, and she refused the package. She just put return to sender on it, which I hadn't ever had happen before. And Poshmark tried to cancel the sale and take my earnings away before I had gotten it back, because she sent me a message saying she was going to deny the package. So I invited Poshmark to the conversation, and then when they said, or they canceled the sale in the app. And so I opened a counterclaim and said, no, I haven't even gotten this back in the mail. The buyer did not follow Poshmark rules. I shouldn't have to, I shouldn't have to lose out because the buyer's not following the rules. And so they released my funds, and then ultimately I did get the hat back, but it took like a month or so. Anytime someone does return to sender, it takes forever to get back to me. Anyways, I got an offer for $13 on it, and I just accepted it because I don't want this hanging around anymore. It's been listed a couple of years. I just didn't delete it because it was already listed, and I only paid $1 for it at an estate sale. I got 5 or 10 of these vintage snapbacks at that estate sale, and most of them sold for decent prices relatively quickly. So that made my profit $9.05. Not super exciting, but I am excited to have that leave my inventory. Hopefully it's not cursed. If this buyer opens up a case or something, I'm just gonna say, keep it. Like, I don't even want it back. Hey again, it's Thursday, and I've got a couple great sales to share with you. I'm pretty excited. So the first item sold on Chairish.com, and it is this Myrtlewood bird sculpture. You guys know I love anything with birds, and I just love the tone of this Oregon Myrtlewood. This was marked with a sticker on the bottom. Now, I don't always pick up Oregon Myrtlewood. It has to be stylized correctly for me to pick it up, but there is a market for it. Not all pieces are created equal, but this did sell for $120, so I'm very excited about that. I think that's a great sale, and it sold relatively quickly for my Cherish sales. I think I only listed this 2 or 3 months ago, so I'm really happy with that $120 sale price. I only paid $8 for this at an estate sale, so that made my profit $87.36. I'm really excited about that sale. I will get this packaged up off camera. And then I had 3 sales on Poshmark. The first sale is very exciting. It is this vintage Louis Vuitton wallet. This is from the multicolor line, the Takashi Murakami, but this is the original line of it from 2000 something. I think it was 2009. I'm not sure. They recently re-released this multicolor line, and so I picked up a few pieces of this to flip in hopes that, you know, with the re-release, it would make the old pieces popular, and it did. However, it seemed like people were more interested in the handbags or the small size wallets, which makes sense because mini bags are in and not as many people are using full size wallets. So this sold for $476, which I'm thrilled about. It did take almost 9 months to sell. So just 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I decided, I had seen that other people bought these inserts off of Amazon to turn it into a wallet on a chain. So you can wear it crossbody. So you just get this little felt insert. It has a little pocket in there, and then you just slip it in here, and you can attach a crossbody chain to it. So I decided, well, I'll give that a try, see what these are kind of like, and if it works. And I just did that and added 1 photo. So you just clip it on like that, and then when you close it, it stays in place, and it turns it into a wallet on a chain of sorts. And I'm not sure if that's what ended up making it sell or not, but it's definitely worth a try. I have 1 other full-size wallet, and I'm gonna see if maybe, well, the packet of inserts that I bought came with 3 or 4, I think, for the single price. So I will have to order another chain. But I bought this for $115 plus tax and shipping, plus I paid a $10 authentication fee. So I think maybe could be another reason why this didn't sell right away is I did not have an authentication certificate for it. I was just lazy. I don't know why I didn't get it done. But the buyer liked it, and then I sent them an offer of 10% off with discounted shipping, and she commented and said, will this still be authenticated with this new offer, because it was under $500. And since it wouldn't go to Poshmark for that price, I said, I can get you a authentication certificate from Authentic Detective, which I've mentioned that I like using them because they authenticate it and they send you a certificate. And after I responded, she purchased it within a couple of hours for that offer price that I sent her. So I was happy about that. So all said and done, I spent about $160 with the chain, the authentication, and the little insert. So that made my profit $220.80. I am thrilled with that, very happy that this is finally sold. And like I said, I am going to try and add a crossbody chain and insert to that other larger size wallet that I have listed and see if that makes it sell. And all I did for the listing was change the first photo to a photo with this chain attached to the wallet. I put wallet on, I added on a chain to the title, and then the description I put, you know, that it was a wallet, but it also includes an insert and a chain to convert it to a wallet on a chain. So we'll see. I had seen other sellers do this as well, and they seem to have their items listed for higher prices. So I guess it's worth a try if you have a designer wallet listed that's not selling, or a full-size designer wallet. So $220, super excited, although it did take 9 months to sell, which is not really what I want. I want quicker flips for those designer items. The next sale is kind of interesting. This did sell on Poshmark. It's just a cute little toothpick holder. It is silver plate, and I picked this up at an estate sale where they had a bunch of real silver items, and I mistakenly grabbed this thinking that it was solid silver, not silver plate. But I just decided to list it anyways because I paid $10 for it, thinking it was real silver. And I listed it on Poshmark and Cherish, and it got quite a bit of attention on both sites, and it sold quickly. Within a couple of weeks, it only sold for $25, but you know, I usually pass on these when I'm out and about, even if they're silver plated toothpick holders. So maybe if I see them at sales for, you know, a couple dollars, I will go ahead and pick them up. So that only made my profit $10, but I doubled my money and moved this out quickly. Maybe it was worth more than $25. I think I definitely had it listed a little bit higher. I think maybe 40 or something, but because I just wanted to move it in and move it out, I took that 25, and I'm happy with it. So have you guys experimented with flipping little toothpick holder? I also put matches holder in the title. So who knows? Okay, the next sale is a pretty great sale, and it is to one of you. So thank you so much, Nicole. Nicole has bought quite a bit of stuff from me on my Poshmark closet, and she comments all the time and watches my YouTube videos. She's been a subscriber for a long time, and I just really appreciate your guys' support. She put a few items in a bundle, and I gave her a really great deal to thank her for being so supportive. And she got some fun stuff. So she got 4 pieces. The bundle sold for $105. The first item is this fun, chunky cardigan. It has like an eagle on the back, and it is Rode brand, which I hadn't heard of before, but I picked it up just because of the style and the kind of motif. This was 50% acrylic and 50% wool. Had it been 100% wool, I probably would have priced it for more to begin with, or more if it was more vintage. And I forgot to get something to package this in, so I will package it up off camera. But right after, Nicole, so you bought this, someone commented they had it in their bundle and they didn't buy it, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad, I want that. If it falls through, let me know, I'll buy it. And so I'm glad that you scooped it up and got it before someone else did. Okay, so the sweater, and then she got this adorable little owl charm. I just love this, but it had been listed for so long, I think over 2 years. So I'm really glad that you took that off my hands. I don't know why it took so long to sell. I thought it was really cute. I paid a total of about $10 for everything. So $5 for the cardigan. This I paid about $3 for, and then the next 2 pieces of jewelry I got at that estate sale where they had bags of jewelry. that I paid $10 for 10 or more pieces. So I only paid about $1 a piece. And these two pieces haven't been listed very long. This really cute little mushroom brooch, I also loved this. I think we have similar taste because you picked items that I think are really cool. I think these pieces have only been listed a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3. And then she also got this fun vintage necklace, kind of looks like a jellyfish. It's gold tone. I just thought this was, you know, kind of whimsical and fun. And you know, actually I didn't even know that it was in there, you know, because a lot of the bags of jewelry that I grabbed, you couldn't open and look at everything. You could just look through the Ziploc baggie and kind of get an idea of what was in there. But it turned out to be a good buy for sure. Okay, so it sold for $105. I paid about $10 for everything, so that made my profit $72.50. Thank you so much for supporting me. I hope you love all of the pieces that you got, and I'm including a little surprise for you too. I hope you love that too. So with those sales, it's turning out to be a pretty great week. It's definitely dominated by Cherish sales, it seems like. So I feel like I have unlocked the, you know, key to getting Cherish sales. The other thing I was talking to my husband about, that it seems like my Cherish shop is popping off, and he asked if there was anything else that had happened with Cherish, and they did just get bought. I don't know if it was they were bought out or they merged with another company, and that had just happened. So I don't know if something with the algorithm changed or what, but my sales have been great ever since then. And they are going to offer a membership or store subscription where you can auction off your items on Cherish, because the company that they merged with is an auction company, which I think is really interesting. They do have a really great buyer, and, you know, if you have some fine goods that you can, you know, like Christie's or Sotheby's auction house, I think that's kind of more what they're going for. The store subscription is pretty expensive. I think it was $200 a month, and you have a reduced percentage fee for your sales. But I don't know, it's interesting. I'll be interested to see how that goes. They did recently, Kathy Hilton had a tag sale on Cherish. So she basically consigned a bunch of her beautiful designer things, and Cherish just listed them in Kathy Hilton's tag sale. And when you go to the Cherish page, it's like the front thing, and if you click on it, then it just shows all of her items that were for sale. And there was a lot of advertising for that. So I think that's a pretty cool thing for them to do. If they can get famous people to do these tag sales, then it's going to bring in more buyers and get more attention to the site. I really love Cherish for that. They advertise a lot. They also have a monthly or quarterly sellers like webinar, and you can join it on the day that it happens, or they replay it on YouTube. But they talk about current trends. They talk about average sale prices for different categories. They talk about what is selling quickly on the site and what they are on the hunt for. And I think that is super smart of them. I wish Poshmark would do something like that. I mean, how beneficial would that be for us if they said, this is the top seller, this is the average sale price. I'm sure that they put out things like on the blog and stuff, but it would be really cool if there was like an interview, or they interviewed top sellers and put out videos like that. That would be really helpful for everyone involved. Anyways, like I said, it's Thursday, so hopefully I have some more good things to share with you. Don't go anywhere. This video will continue with what else I sell this week. I'll be right back. Hey again, it's Friday, and I decided to ship today because I'm just going to say this and move on from it, but the Ground Advantage packages are taking quite a bit longer to get to the buyers, in my experience at least. So typically my priority packages would take 2 to 3 business days, and I've had some of my Ground Advantage packages be shipping for a good 5 days now. So it is what it is. Overall, I am happy that our buyers have the option to get a cheaper shipping method. And hopefully in the future, Poshmark will offer us some additional shipping options. I really bet that they will work towards that. So just wanted to say that, get it out of the way, but that's why I am deciding to ship more often, because if I didn't get these packages to the post office today, they wouldn't go out until Monday, because my post office also made some changes. So this could be affecting my packages. So mine could be taking longer than others, but I live in a smaller town. There used to be a truck that came to the post office first thing in the morning, and then they had another truck that would come at 3:30 p.m. So as long as you had your shipments there by 3:30, they would go out that same day, and that would happen 6 days a week, excluding Sunday. Now there is only one truck that comes in the morning. I just want to be as quick as possible shipping my packages so that they can get to my buyers as quickly as possible. In some other exciting news, I had 2 big milestones happen within the last week or so. I hit 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you guys so very much for subscribing, for all your support. It's been over 3 years that I've been on YouTube, and I have just really enjoyed it and enjoyed connecting with so many of you. It is just so much more than I ever expected it to be. And the second thing is I exceeded 300,000 in sales on Poshmark. Now, this didn't happen overnight. I have been selling on Poshmark for about 6 years. So it took me that long to get to 300,000 in sales on Poshmark. So anyways, just wanted to share those 2 tidbits with you. I'm pretty excited about both things. Okay, so I had 3 sales on Poshmark within about the last 24 hours. The first sale is this big chunky vintage necklace. This is signed Lucien Picard, which I believe was actually a watchmaker, maybe in the 60s, 70s, not exactly sure. This gal drove a hard bargain. I had this listed for over 100. She started out by offering me 50. We went back and forth, and we finally settled on 65. And there wasn't any of this exact necklace listed on other platforms, but the other similar necklaces from this brand were listed for over 100, but when I looked at sold comps, there were not very many sold comps, under 20 of them, and they all were for under $100, most in this $60 range. So I just decided to accept that $65 offer. I don't want to keep this necklace. It has been listed a fair bit of time, at least a few months. So was trying to, let's get back to the summer of sales, Amy. Let's accept offers, move things out that you don't want to keep. The comps didn't support me holding out for higher prices. So trying to think rationally. Plus, I only paid $10 for this. So that made my profit $42. That is a great profit on a $10 investment. And I really hope that this buyer loves this, and it was worth all the back and forth. I think we went back and forth probably 6 or 7 times. So anyways, if you are a viewer, I hope you love this necklace. Okay, the next sale just came in, and it is this brown leather belt by Perry Ellis. I don't know exactly how long this has been listed, but it was at the very bottom of my brown belt bin. So I think it may have been listed for a while. I had it listed for $39. The buyer offered me $30. I accepted that very quickly. I thought that was a great offer. I only paid about $3 for this. So that made my profit $21. Very happy with that. I did list quite a few belts yesterday, 4 or 5. So excited to move some of these belts out because I have a lot of brown belts. Really trying to remind myself that I am in the sales business, not the storage business. And I'm trying to set some goals. Here we go again. One of these days it's gonna stick and I am going to, you know, get more organized and downsize. But I would really like to get this even more organized and decluttered, and I would like to get some sort of more professional looking either backdrop or just have this set up nicely enough that it just looks like a good backdrop and not like a storage building. I mean, it is a storage building, but I just think it would feel better for me if I had a more like professional looking backdrop. So with that, I really need to downsize and declutter more. Plus, it will just feel good. Okay, the next item, it's this really adorable Sam Edelman trench coat with pink contrast, and it has a little belt. It sold for $30. This was from my closet. I don't remember exactly how much I paid for it, but I got it like at TJ Maxx, and I'm pretty frugal, so I can't imagine I paid more than, you know, $40 for it. But I put my cost of goods as 0 just because it is from my closet. So that made my earnings $24. Okay, I plan on shipping again tomorrow because I hope I have more sales. I plan on having more sales. I am just shy of my 1,000 per week profit goal. All right, don't go anywhere. This video will continue with what else I sell, or I will share my statistics for the week. Okay, see you in a bit. Hey again, it's Saturday and I have 3 more things to ship out. So let's get started. The first item that sold is this off-white woven leather belt. This only took a couple of days to sell. It sold for $20. Not the biggest sale, but you guys know I get excited about selling belts, and this had been sitting in my money pile for a while, so I was really excited when it sold quickly. I did list it for $35 and the buyer offered me $20, but I am feeling motivated to sell stuff, and I thought $20 was a fair offer. I only paid about $1 for this at an estate sale or a yard sale, so that made my profit $15. I think that is a great profit on a $1 investment, and I'm really happy that it sold quickly. I'm also really happy, like I said, that I'm selling belts again. It does seem like it's not quite back to what it was a year or so ago, but I'm definitely turning over some belts again because, you know, that makes me happy because I like to thrift them. I don't know why I like that category so much, but I do. The next sale was a pretty good sale. Well, it's relative. So this is a really nice rails coat. It is kind of a midi length. It sold for $55. So I'm happy that it sold for $55, but this coat was probably, I don't know, $300 new. So it's possible I could have got more, but this has been listed since the end of last winter, and I'm sure it's just selling because of the seasonality. Wasn't quite right when I listed it before, but because it's been listed a while, I am just happy to move it along. I paid about $12 for this at the Goodwill. And you know, rails it used to be so hot and you could sell any of the shirts for big money, and now it's just not quite as good as it used to be. So I just decided to accept that $55, especially because it still left me with a $32 profit, which I think is great. And this person gets a really nice coat for fall and winter. This feels really nice, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was a wool blend or some other nice fabric content because I think Rails typically uses nice fabric, or I hope they would for the price that they charge. So I have one more thing to share with you, and I'm a little disappointed because I missed my weekly profit goal by only about $15. And I really thought, I had added it up in my head, and I really thought that I was going to meet my profit goal for the week. But hopefully next week it will work out that I will far exceed it. Just going to think positive. So here's the next item that sold. This took a long time to sell. It is a vintage ocean air shirt, and it ended up only selling for $15. The sale just came in as I was getting ready to film. The good news is I picked this up at a fill the bag sale for less than $1. So I still had a profit of $11. I sold a total of $1,542, which I'm excited about. My total cost of goods for the week was $241, and my total profit after website fees, shipping discounts, and my cost of goods was $985.01. So for those of you who've been watching regularly, you know that I have a $1,000 per week profit goal, which I haven't been meeting for a while, but that's pretty close, so I'm excited. I had a total of 17 sales, making my average sale price $90.71. That is wonderful. My average cost of goods, $14.18, and my average profit per sale, $57.94. So I had 17 sales, but I sold a total of 21 items because there was a couple of bundles in there. So I'm happy about that because I have a goal to sell at least 20 items per week, so I exceeded that. I sold 7 pieces of jewelry, 5 pieces of clothing, 5 hard goods, which is higher than normal, 3 accessories, and 1 handbag, no shoes. So as always, thank you so very much for watching. I always appreciate your guys' support, and I will see you guys all again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.